Hello there, my name is Bruce Rain from Brangus Creations and welcome to my live stream today. It is Saturday here, but it feels like Sunday because yesterday was a public holiday. So yesterday was a holiday for Anzac Day, which is an Australian equivalent, I think, of the American Memorial Day. Yeah, so today has a very Sunday-ish feel about it, even though it's Saturday. I'm going to do my normal thing. I'm going to say hello to some folks. So I'm going to say hello to Steve from Mac84. Look, he was first today. How about that? Whoa. What was that? That was really weird. I just heard a voice. It sounded like Siri or something. Was it from my pocket? Might have been from my pocket. Okay. Hello to Thomas Armstrong. Hello, Jack68K. Hello, Colin from This Does Not Compute. Hello, Quadra. I haven't seen Kai in ages. Hello, Kai. Hello, Inkscuve. Francois. Will from KMac. Foxhound 477.5. Who else we got? Sadmac 356. Roger Salter. Enzo Fitz Hume. Chip Akonect. Akonect? Is that Akonect? Akonect. I'm not sure. Gibbertronics. Who else have we got? David Russian. Hello there. Akonect. Interesting. Is that a German name by any chance? Just curious. Video and chat isn't matching. Hey? I'm not really sure what you mean by that. So, yeah, hello to everyone. Now, it is a fairly miserable day today. The weather isn't too crash hot. A little bit of sun just poked through before, which was nice, but it's all overcast again now, so yuck. I didn't sleep particularly well last night, so I'm a little bit of a zombie, but we'll see how we go. I've been working on a video lately. I thought I would have it finished by now, but unfortunately I had to order something from China. It has arrived here in Australia. I just have to wait for it to get delivered to me, and I expect it to probably arrive Monday if I'm lucky, probably more like Tuesday or Wednesday. So, oh, and I scraped my arm, so that's why it looks awful. The Fixer69, hello. Jared Burma, hello. Means field worker farmhand. So how about that? Akonect means field worker farmhand. Well, there you go. New shelving. Well, actually, technically, it's been there for quite a while, which is maybe an indication of how long it's been since you've had a live stream. So it used to just be a bench height here, and then I had all my ultrasonics on it and that, and I just ended up needing so much storage space, so I built one to go up higher now. So I've got a few compact Macs and stuff up here. I've got my ultrasonics here, and then I've got my 3D printer seat, which reminds me there's a bloody print in that I have to wash. So I have to wash that and cure it and get that all ready. It's been sitting in there for over a day now. Okay, so in my last live stream, I spent a bit of time working with the new little ROM, PDS ROM from K-Koba, which is featured in a video from Colin that he just dropped, I think, today. Yes. I look at, to be honest, I mean, for me, ordering things from China is very, very fast and easy. We get stuff from China here so quickly. Yeah, and cheaply as well. The delivery fees, sort of, a lot of the time, no delivery at all. No delivery charge at all. It's just included in the price. Leo's here. Should I get some designing done or some writing? I couldn't tell you. Yeah, I dropped a video on this recently. I hope everyone's had a chance to look at it. The views are going fairly well for me anyway. I mean, with my little modest channel, I think I've had about somewhere around the vicinity of, I think, 5,000 views or something on this one here. And I've got a whole bunch of comments that make it clear to me it's reaching the right audience. Because when people start criticising the way that I review something, I know that it's reaching the right audience. So that's great. It always makes me happy when someone comes in and says, "Hey, you didn't do this, or you should have done that, or I don't trust this," or whatever. When I get that, it's like, yeah, I've done well. Just tidying up a little bit as I go here, because as we know, I've got a very large board to put on this desk. Now, is my top camera still working? Because shivers. There's a fair bit of condensation here today. We woke up this morning and went and did a walk, and it was foggy as anything. So it is really, really foggy. There's a lot of condensation on the camera. So let's see if I do this. And I'll just aim that bit of hot air up that way. That might help clear it. Yeah, we'll see what happens. See if we can get rid of that. Come on. It'll get good. It will get good. Trust me. Isn't that cool? See the flashing light there? That's infrared, which of course you can't see with the nude eye, but a lot of these CCDs that are in video cameras can pick up infrared, so it's still not helping, is it? Maybe if I get a bit of a tissue and give it a wipe, that might help. Unless the condensation is inside the camera, in which case we'll just have to wait for it to warm up. So this camera got switched off. It normally just stays on. Yeah, the condensation's inside it, so that's a bit of a bummer. We'll just have to wait for it to heat up. So, yeah, well, because it was very wet yesterday, and then of course it got cold overnight, and so we got the old condensation. And yes, very foggy this morning. Went for a bit of a walk. Okay, great. I just picked up a 2C53T after watching a review. Nice review. You get all the credit if it's good or if it's bad. Okay, no worries, thank you. Look, all I can do, as I do with all of my videos, all I really do is I almost like I want it to be almost like a try before you buy. So in other words, if we're looking at functionality, so this is one of the reasons why I gave a complete walkthrough of the functionality of the device, because it's sort of like, well, you get to see what it can and can't do. And then obviously when it comes to the testing, I was really only providing the testing that I do. And look, I love it. I think it's a beauty thing. Fantastic. Okay, so anyhow, why are we all here? That's a good question. There was actually something I wanted to do today, but I figured if I did it, people might get upset with me. I wanted to actually build a little kit that someone sent me with it's a little ADB to USB thingy. Now, I know there are plenty of them out there, but this one came as a kit, and I like building kits. So, yeah. Excuse me. I'm just tidying, making room for the thing. Yeah, so anyhow, as I said before, this camera that's above me normally just stays on, and then that heat helps stopping the condensation. For whatever reason, it was off when I came in today. I don't know what the cause for that is, but it was off, and so that's why I've got a side camera here. This one doesn't look too bad. That's okay. I can zoom in on that one too. Oh, there's a remote up there. I wonder if it works. Okay, let's move all this stuff out of the way so we can start getting some stuff done. Now, in 2 videos ago, I worked on this. This is the board here. A Quadra 950 board. It's quite the unit. Started trying to do the passives on the back and ran into a bit of strife because I just had so much trouble finding where they were. Bolle did say that most of them are more or less in the same position, but I started working in this corner here, and there were so many I couldn't find. So I figured what I would do is I would try and come up with a better method of trying to find where they were on the old board. This is the old board here. Hello. So yeah, that was my thinking. I might have another crack at some of the passives. I'll just start in a different region of the board and see if I have any luck with that. Because obviously they get easier the more you do, because as you start removing them from the board, there are fewer on there, and then they get easier to find. I need to get one of these boards. I have a dead Quadra 950 spare. Yeah, see, that's sort of what happened with me as well. I explained in my first video that what ended up happening was I got hold of this Quadra 950 board with some battery damage. Not much battery damage, but a little bit. It doesn't work, basically. Then I decided to start repairing it. So I started having a go. You can see I've removed some RAM slots from up here. So I started having a crack at repairing it. And then very soon after that, someone contacted me and said that they had gone to a place to buy a Quadra 950, and there were a few there. There were like 2 or 3, and he was asking, did I want to buy one of them? And I'm like, yes, please. So I got this Quadra 950, perfect working order. I can't remember what I paid for it, but it was a good price. And then once I had one that was working, I just lost all motivation to come back and do anything about the old one. And so, yeah. So then, but when this opportunity arose, basically Bolle just reached out. He had he prototyped it. He had got a few of these boards. I think he got 5 or something like that. And he did a test, and the very first one worked. So the very first one worked. There's one bodge wire we have to add, but essentially the first one worked. And so he was like, well, I've got these extra boards. Do you want to have a crack at doing it? Because he knows I'm going to build it because I'm insane. And I said, yeah, that'd be great. So I just paid for postage, and he shot it across to me here in Oz, in the land of Oz. And that's where it started. I ended up getting this board. I had this one here. It would probably be easier just to repair this one, but where's the fun in that? Okay. There, these boards are gigantic. So these are the biggest boards that I deal with. These are the same size as a 9500 as well, incidentally, just so anyone knows, because they're sort of more or less the same case. But it is the biggest board that I have to deal with these vintage computing type stuff. There are bigger ones, I think, later on, but I tend not to deal with them. But this one still does fit in my ultrasonic cleaner, so that's great. I don't work in footses. I work in millimeters, but I don't have a ruler here, so I couldn't tell you what it is. Nothing to measure with. Not a single. I've got tape measures up there, I suppose. Get up there and measure. Well, I mean, I am in a shed. Got to have tape measure in a shed. So yeah, and of course it's purple because Bolle does all of his boards in purple. So there it is, purple board. Here's his little logo there, the eye patch on it. Another thing I'm planning to do a little bit later today, probably not on. There it goes. There's Quadra 950 right there. I'm probably not on camera, but I'm going to have a crack at doing some ROM programming using the ROM programmer that Will from KMAC sent me. Because this is something that I came to the realization the other day that I like to be able to boot from a ROM for when things happen, and I sort of want to set up a drive specifically for the way I want it to be set up. I want the software that I want on there, and I want things done in a particular way, and so I thought I will make my own disk image up that I can then program onto it. So I've got a whole bunch of ROMs here. I've got the original, this one here, Rominator 2. I mean, it's not original if it's 2, is it? But anyhow, it's a Rominator 2. And then I've got the big one here from Will, from KMAC. The great thing about this one is it's got heaps of storage on it. I mean, you could put a really big disk image on this. So there's that one there. And then, of course, the one that I got sent by Kay, which is the PDS ROM, and then of course I've got another one which is the same chips but in a standard ROM, a ROM sized thing. And yeah, I sort of came to the realization that a lot of these are all you can boot to the ROM with all of them, but they kind of don't have the software on there that I want on there. So I thought I'll make my own disk image. It's a sensible thing to do. Garrett Trailer, hello there. Happy Saturday to you as well. Yes. Okay. Now, as I mentioned before, did I say hello to the Fixer 69? If I didn't, hello. How big is the shed of mine? It is tiny. I don't know really how else to describe how small it is. It looks a lot bigger than it is, potentially. It's a very, very small shed. It's, I think, the biggest one I have. I have 1, 2, 3 sheds. It's the biggest shed that I have. I would love to actually knock this shed down and put a bigger one here. The largest size I can get without having to get council approval. But it means I would have to pour a bigger slab and stuff. And so, I have to probably break up this slab that I'm on, get rid of it, lay a new slab, then put the shed on top of it. And I would like to have a shed big enough for me to have a workshop at one end and a studio at the other end. Having said that, it's not the best studio space. I've just been discovering that lately. I've been recording stuff down here and there's just been bird noises. Constant bird noises. I mean, it's just constant here. Probably because of the tree and stuff, but this is why I have to use this microphone here, because if I use this microphone, even if the microphone's like, that far away from my mouth, you still end up hearing all the bloody birds. There was a whole stack of ravens just making so much noise the other day when I was trying to record something. Would planning permission be a huge ball ache? Well, here's the problem with planning permission, or as we call it here, council approval. Oftentimes when they come out to approve something, they'll look at other stuff as well. And when I bought this house, there was so many things done by the previous owner that I look at and I think, that ain't right. And I would be very concerned that if they came out here to essentially provide some sort of, checking on it, that they would, they might actually pull me up on some other things. But then, of course, the other thing you have to remember is that there is an easement running through my backyard. There is a water easement and a sewage easement, and that puts major restrictions on what I can and can't do. So if I was going to do anything, I would build something under the size for council approval. So councils in Australia, it's the main problem with councils in Australia are a lot of them are terribly corrupt, allegedly. There are situations going on in councils that I just cannot even believe is allowed. People can be on a council, and they can also be a developer, a property developer. So you end up with these people that are property developers, who then end up on a council, and that is just such a conflict of interest. I can't believe it is allowed to happen, but it does happen. And it's just, it infuriates me. It's terrible. Okay, so, yes, slabs are expensive. I would potentially do it myself, maybe. But it'd be a hell of a job getting the concrete here, because there isn't good access. So we'd either have to get it pumped, so that that's, or we'd have to bring it down in wheelbarrows, and that would just, that'd be a nightmare. I don't even want to think about it. Don't want to think about it. Right. Okay. So, so this is what we're dealing with for the time being, this shed. So until I win the lotto or something like that. If I win the lotto, I'm going to move house. So, because this is a very small house. I mean, it used to be sort of fine. But what's happened now is both my wife and I work from home. And so we've got a 3-bedroom house. One room is our bedroom, one room is my office, one room is her office. That's the 3 bedrooms gone. So no spare room or anything like that. So, I don't have a studio space or anything like that. So if I want to record videos, I either have to do them in here, or I have to move things around and set up lights and backdrops and stuff in my living room, which is a bit of a pain. Now, let's see if we've got an improvement in our picture from the top view. Oh, it's much better. Much better. Much, much, much better. Now, just to show everyone what I can do with this new camera of... Oh, jeez. Sorry about that. Getting a little bit upset with what I'm showing it. I want to just show you what I can do here. It will focus. There we go. So, that's as close as I can get. So, there's my big fat fingers. But, it's a pretty good view, I think, from the top. If we're not using the microscope, I will be using the microscope a fair bit today as well. Rastko Petrovich, hello. Oops. Got to get a shirt like that, yeah. So I got this one. There is a link in the description as to where I get all my shirts, or almost all my shirts. I got one given to me by my wife recently. She came from a different place, but almost all my shirts come from QWERTEE. That's QWERTEE. And there is a link in the description, and there is also a discount code, and you can jump on there. Why aren't you focusing? Doesn't like the purple. Do not vex me, camera. It's getting really upset. I don't know why it's having so much trouble. But I'll tell you what, when I get this into focus, I'm going to change it back to manual. It's like, that's where it's focused. Oh, maybe it is on manual focus. Stranger things have happened. Excuse me. Autofocus. No, it's on autofocus. Who knows? Who knows? Let's not worry about it now. So, as I said before, what I'm going to do, I'm going to have another crack at doing some of these passives. Just see how I go. Maybe trying to get a few more of them. I'm going to turn my soldering iron on, because we're going to need that. I don't know why it seems really quiet in here today. Maybe because I often have the air conditioner on, but because I don't need it today because it's quite cool. 790 to approve this. Timber cabin, okay. The joys of a live broadcast, indeed. But hey, come on, we all love it, don't we? We're all just here to chat and have fun. Right. Now, I should be fine with these. These are all, I know these are all going to be fine. These are the ones that sit in between these Ramses. And there's 319. Even they're moved. 322. 322. I mean, these will all be the same, but I still want to put them in the right spots. 322. We're going to do that one. Going to do that one there, right there, right there, which you can't see. Huh. Let me see if I can do something about the focus here. Menu. No, menu. No, exit. Hang on. Just going to press some buttons here. Try not to show off my belly button. Yeah, automatic focus. It's like it can't focus at all. That's really weird. Focus. Manual focus. That's so odd. I don't know what's going on here. It is literally like it's not able to focus on it. It's like it's as far as it'll go. I don't know what has happened here. The camera seems a bit unhappy. So we'll just have to do. We'll have to get by. Back onto autofocus. Something's not right. Something's very not right. Weird. Okay, sorry about that, folks. We are just going to have to make do as best we can. I guess I'll be using the microscope for this, so we can at least see that. Oh, good grief. Cables. I'll put this there. I've got a bit of a cable management issue here. I used to have a wire for my microscope camera. Used to have a cable, and it stopped working. So I just bodged together a different cable, but I haven't actually gone in and, you know, what's the word, cable tie it out of the way. So it constantly gets in the way. So sorry about that. Sorry about it. This double-sided tape sticking to everything. I mean, that's what it's meant to do, but, you know, goodness. All right. Okay, we can do this. There we go. Oh, crap, where's my mouse? There it is. Starbuck Tech, hello there. Enjoy watching me fumble around here with all sorts of chaos and stuff. Right, so first thing I need to do is 322 and put some solder on it. Oh, may as well solder all these ones. 323, 324, I can smell fumes. 825. There we go. And once again, we're going to need some flux. And what sort of flux are we going to be using? We're going to be using Steriflux, my favourite flux, which is here somewhere. Is that one? This will do. It's the one I have. So, get that there. I'm going to get the old one off. 322. And we should be able to get a little bit faster at this as we go. Incidentally, this little capacitor has a code on it. The code is IA4, and you will actually find that, you know, sort of that code there. I found a table or something with that code, and it'll tell you what the capacitance is. The 4 sort of represents how many zeros. I'm glad I identified it as an IA4 because I've kind of lost it. We're off to a good start, aren't we? Let me just turn the air down on this one. Now it should still be here. It would have just blown that way, so it should still be here on the desk somewhere. Oh, there it is. It's stuck to my stereo. Take 2. Okay. All right. We're all seeing. We can see stuff. Yeah. Yeah. It's all good. One of the things that happens when you're doing this stuff is the tweezers end up getting sticky with flux and stuff, and so when you're trying to put one of these down, you know, or you're trying to, you know, sort of put it down on the desk, it just sticks to it. All right. So, has anyone done anything interesting lately? Any projects that anyone's got on the go? I'm always interested to hear about what people are working on. What are we after? 323. This seems so odd. It's almost like the numbering on mine is completely different. Like going the other way or something. This is 322, that's 323. I mean, is it possible that there are multiple revisions of this board? Because, I mean, it makes no sense to me that these capacitors that are located right down here next to the RAM sims would be anywhere else on the original board. That just does not make sense to me at all. And yet, here we are. These are numbered 322, 323, 324, 325. On this one, they're numbered 322, 321, 320, 319. It's just weird. I'm going to have to quiz. I'm going to have to quiz Bolle about this to find out if his original board is the same, because he's gone to all the lengths here of putting these passives in similar positions to the originals, and yet they're all completely different numbers to what I have on my board. And it's baffling. We'll have to check. Bolle does watch these, by the way, so I will have to ask him. I'll send him a photo of the underside of this board and just sort of say, look, can you just confirm this is the same for you? Because, you know, I mean, I would just think, you know, same here. If we sort of, this is at the bottom of the PDS slots here. So there's the PDS slot, and then you've got a capacitor at the bottom of it. And you can see that capacitor is linked up to that, like that ground of that. Now, that one is 234. Now, if we go to exactly the same spot, and it seems to be doing exactly the same thing, connecting to the ground, This is 323. That's exactly the same component in exactly the same position with a completely different numbering. So, yeah, I don't know. Anyhow, what we can do is what we did last time, and that is keep working on the bigger chips, and we'll come back to the passives later on, once I have some confirmation of that. Okay. Rescuing laptops from e-waste again. 2 Ryzen ones and an 11th gen i7. Cool. I've got a Ryzen laptop here. It's not mine. It belongs to someone else. They asked me to. No, it's not a Ryzen. It's something else. But it's one fancy gaming laptop, and it's got a cracked screen. I tried to get a replacement. Couldn't. Loads of M2 NVMEs keep going in the e-waste at work for being small, so I keep digging through. Oh, I mean, you can turn those into a little flash drive sort of thing. Just get a little external case for transporting stuff around. Very handy. 256 and 512, that's heaps of space. And they are great for Linux boxes, as Starbuck Tech says. If you can figure this out, you're going to be way ahead of the game. There has to be a madness in his redesign. Yeah, I just feel like there is something amiss. You know, with the other components in different places, I can sort of say, oh yeah, I can see that. I can, you know, that's more or less the same spot. But when it comes to these capacitors that are, you know, a part of this, you know, part of these RAM sims and stuff like that. Oh, hello, chicken. I just don't. It makes no sense to me that they would be numbered differently. It just seems very weird. 3 1 terabyte, 1 2 terabyte, 1 512, and 3 256 gigabyte. They're great. Good sizes. You do plenty with those. You need to tell those people it's nonsense. Right. So I am going to continue with what I was doing before. Let's see if we're having any luck with our focusing on the top view. Okay, at least that's in focus. If I move out of focus. Move in focus. Don't know what's going on here. There's definitely something not right, and maybe it's something to do with the way it switched off and got moist. But anyhow, we'll just have to work like that. So, what can I get into the camera view? I can get this in the camera view, so we'll take these ones off. So this is U71, I think. I think it's U71. It's got some gunk on it. Don't know why, but it does. A little bit of flux on there. We can go with the higher power for this one. I don't know what this chip is, but it says Apple 89 on it. I just give it a little nudge every now and again, see if it's coming free. With it being such a big chip. And what would be really handy for this, with this, is have one of those attachments that shoots out the air in 4 separate lines that you can just put it over top of the chip. I do not have one of those. I don't even know if they make them for this hot air station. Starting to give. When I do that, I generally try and flip them as fast as possible so they don't resolder onto the board. So that was U71. Oh, U71U. Now I need my little thingamajig, jigamathig, which I use for when I'm doing this sort of stuff. So it can't be too far away, because I only did it 2 live streams ago. Unless I put it away. I may have put it away. Yeah, no, I didn't put it away. That's just crazy talk. It's just nonsense. Anyhow, what I'm looking for is the clamp that I hold these chips in when I clean them up. And, oh, here it is. It was at a weird angle, so I couldn't see it properly. So I get the chip, pop it in here. Those chips are NuBus controllers. Well, that would make sense. They're pretty close. U70. That's what I took, wasn't it? U70? No, U71. Good job. Good job. I mentioned in the last live stream I did working on this board that Bolle has made the pads for these PLCCs much bigger than he did in his previous boards, and so it just makes them so much easier for working with. Oh, 040 in post. Thank you very much, Thomas. So Thomas sent me a message. It said, you know, I've got a 68040 chip here that could suit it. He sent me a picture. I said, yeah, that's the one. And yeah, so he's shooting it across to me. So I'm really looking forward to that. So we'll be set. I'll be able to run this at its blisteringly fast. What is it, 33? I think they're 33 in these. 33 megahertz, I think. I can't remember. Were they 40? I don't know. 33? I can't remember. That was days ago. Can't be expected to remember that stuff. Stopped using the old Tevrid and hello there. All right, just got a 256 gigabyte, 2.5 inch SATA drives, all same size. See, they're great to drop into an old laptop or something like that, an old unibody laptop. Samsung Evo, yeah, they're the ones I buy, I think. Starbuck Tech says, I have not done much with tech in a bit. I have so many computers that I do not need more. I have 10 computers in this room alone. Yeah, I know the feeling. Leo, I did some designing before getting kicked off, and now I'll do some writing. Okay. How did you get kicked off designing? How does that work? Explain that to me. Tevrid, I've stopped using the old hardware from work because I don't want my lab consuming a constant 800 watts. Yeah, fair enough. 900 was 25, 950 was 33. Yeah, that's right. So anything 33 or higher will work in this one here. Just didn't want to stick anything slower than on there. And of course, the other one is I wanted a full chip, one that has the floating point unit built in, because the ones I have here, they're 25s. I would potentially risk overclocking a 25 to 33, but they're the LC version, so they don't have a floating point unit. And I would like the 950 to be as fast as it possibly can. I would want it to be as fast as it would have been when they made it. I'm going to check one more time because I keep forgetting. I'm pretty sure it's 71. Yes, but we'll get it right. We want to get it right. First go. Oh, and I have to stick it on one and then remove it and stick it on another one. Right. So, as with the what is that gunk on there? Whatever it is, it's gross. I'm going to scrape it off. Okay. So obviously with these PLCCs, we have two ways of knowing which way around they go. You've got a little dot here, which indicates pin 1, and that corresponds to a little dot just here. It's there, but it's just hidden a bit behind those pads there. And then the other, of course, is we've got a flat edge on one corner. So they've got sharp, 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 and then we've got a beveled edge. And you can see here on the screen printing, That's showing the bevel there. So that makes sure we get this in the right position. One thing I do want to do with this, I did this with the other ones the other day, is get some solder onto these pads first. So I'll just get a little bit of solder. The main thing I have lots of at the moment in terms of computers are iMacs and laptops. I have so many iMacs that are all from about probably 2010 up to maybe 2015 or 2014, something like that. Heaps of them. So all pre-Retina. But I just have lots and lots of them. And I can't bring myself to throw them away. So they all work. Right, so I've got to try and get this as aligned as possible. I went to a show the other night. Went and saw Chaka Khan perform. For anyone out there who's old enough to know who Chaka Khan is. She's like 72 years old now, so I'm fairly impressed that she could perform. I had 4 iMacs, all Retina. One was a Frankenstein one, 4K motherboard and a 2K chassis. All sold to a mate of mine who resells on eBay. Yeah, I mean, I could probably sell some of these ones, I guess. They're just, I mean, the older ones, if they're Retina, the Retina ones sell pretty well, but the non-Retina ones, they don't sell too well, so... Got ourselves a bridge. Don't want a bridge. I actually had a I've got a 2012 27-inch iMac with, I'm not sure how much RAM is in it, maybe 32, but it's got a 1 terabyte SSD, and it might even be 2 terabytes, 1 or 2 terabyte SSD. And that's an i7, quad-core i7 CPU, so that one actually runs pretty well. And I used that as a backup Mac a while back. It's a long story, but I had to work in a different location to my normal office. And so during that time, I used that. And it was good. I set up a second screen. It's the screen that I'm using in here now. Right there, that screen. And it's a gaming screen. It's a cheap gaming screen, but it's a gaming screen, so it has the option you can raise it and lower it. And you can twist it as well. And I wanted to be able to run it portrait, so that was perfect for me. That looks like a bridge. Taking me to the bridge. Did I see that 2012 Mac Mini in one of your videos lately? Oh. I don't know which one that was. I'll be completely frank. Kai, I have quite a lot of minis. Now, it could well have been the one you sent me, or it could have been one I had already. I've found a use for all but one of my minis. The other one is, I think, a 2011. So I've got two. I've got a 2014 running as a web server. I've got a 2012 running as a web server. And then I've got a 2012 running as a Plex broadcaster. And that's from the video that I did. So let's just see if I've managed to do this without any bridges. Looks good. The worst part of working on this board is so big. Need to ask Bolle to redesign this in 2 halves. Minis are actually fantastic things because they are so mini, and they're great for my web server. So I've got 2 web servers. They're both running Ubuntu, and yeah, they're really nifty. Top view. Just want to let it be known that all these issues I'm having with the focus, they weren't here before. This used to focus beautifully. The camera up there used to focus beautifully, but now something has gone wrong. And I think it'll probably come good again. That's my firm belief. Okay, we're going to try this one today. This is the V5. This is the V5 flux, which I got to say is a good flux. I'm going to probably keep buying the one that I buy because I like it so much and it's what I'm used to, but I would recommend to folks, depending on their requirements, this V5 is really good. The Intel Mac Minis are all vintage now, yeah. Sure are. The mini that I'm using here, because I didn't even mention this mini. This mini I'm using here is an M1. It's the lowest spec M1. Works perfectly for what I'm doing here, which is basically just live streaming. I'm not recording this live stream. I normally record them onto a hard drive, but the other day this computer stopped recognizing that hard drive and I haven't had a chance to diagnose it yet. Might do that today. Okay, that's U70 off the board. It has been liberated from the board. MacBook Air M3, oh yeah, 15 M3. Yeah, that's good. So I've got a 2018 Touch Bar MacBook Pro. It's i7, and it's good. And I'll tell you why it's good. 2 reasons. Number one, I got it for very cheap. It was damaged and I repaired it. So that's one reason why I really like it, is because it was cheap. I love the Retina screen on a thing. I actually really like the Touch Bar. I know a lot of people are down on the Touch Bar, but I actually think Touch Bar is kind of cool. Gimmicky, yes, but I still like it. Ow. Hot. And that one goes okay. I mean, but I upgraded. That's, as I say, for my laptop. It's not my main computer. My main computer is an M2 Pro Mini. But I upgraded from a 2012 15-inch. So going from a 2012 to a 2018 was a very significant upgrade. Hacks to say. Rudy is here. Hello there, Rudy. What temp are you using on the iron when cleaning the chips with the WICK? I generally run my iron at the same temp for pretty much everything. I don't adjust the iron temperature, I adjust the amount of time I put the iron on things. But I'm running at about sort of 430 degrees C, which is very, very high. It's a lot higher than a lot of people recommend, but it's just the way I solder. I've tried lots of different temperatures and lots of different methods, and it's the way that works for me. I always say to people, it doesn't mean it'll be the way that works for you, but it is definitely the way that works for me. So I run with very high temperature, and then I just move quite quickly. It just suits me, suits for the stuff that I'm doing. Now, having said that, that's the temperature that's on the friggin' thing. I can't promise you that that's the temperature the tip actually is. I do have one of those little thermometers for testing the temp of the tip of your iron, but I question its accuracy. But right, okay, so there we go. Philippines, how about that? Who knew that they were making chips in the Philippines in the late 80s? Who knew? Probably lots of people knew, just not me. I'm sure the person who made the chip knew. Right, so now I've got U70. There we go. There's our lovely U70 there. Out of focus for you. Just going to try something here. Just turn this camera off and on again. I'm going to pull my shirt down here so you can't see my belly. Okay, switch them off. Switch them on. On, bing, bang. Okay, now, what if I zoom in? Focus is working now. Oh, great, well that's good. So we can use this camera for the wider shots now, so that's great. So I just needed to turn it off and on again, the old mantra of the IT professional. Have you tried turning it off and on again? Oh god, there's some goop on the end of this. Oh, never mind. What ends up happening is you end up with a little bit of flux on the end of the tube, and then it gets sticky, and then something sticks to it, like that, whatever that is. It's cliche because it works, yes, indeed. That's what Scotty was doing on the Enterprise all that time. When can you get me more power, Scotty? Yes, and he's making up all this stuff, but he was actually just turning it off and on again. Oh, Mike's here. Hello there, Mike. Does it work yet? No, we're a bit of a way away, I'm afraid. We've only got about, 200, 300, 400 components left to move across, but we're making good use of the time. It's so different to like when I did the Classic. When I did the Classic Reloaded, I was essentially able to do all of the passives in one live stream. Every single one of them in one live stream. It's like crazy. It's such a little board. And then, of course, the SE... Oh, what else have I done? A 2FX, yes. Well, I still haven't finished that. That's for Kai. I've nearly finished it. I've just got, 4 more things to move across. I really should be doing that, shouldn't I? The main thing with that is I need to get the things off using the heated thingy. And that's a bit fiddly. That's a bit tricky. So it's not always the best for live streaming. We've got our pin one there. Yes, the Quadra 950 is massive. I still haven't figured out what I'm going to do with this one when I get it fixed. Whether I'm going to make some sort of project with a 3D printed case or something like that, turn it into a thing. I did have a half idea of 3D printing a rack-mounted case, so I can make a rack-mounted Quadra 950. Because I don't think anyone's done that. But I don't know if I can be bothered. You know that feeling? This is not Kai's Abomination. This one is from Bolle. This is from the House of Bolle. Go reverse sleeper and put the Quadra 950 board in a Mac Pro case. Reverse sleeper. Oh, I like it. I mean, there are plenty of cases I have that this could fit into. You know, as I say, I've got a 3,1 Mac Pro. I've got so many G5s. I've ended up with way more G5s than anyone should have. My house is becoming like Steve's. So there was a company that I went to, and they were running old G5s still today, and they had a problem. We had two of them that had failed, and so I said, "Well, look, you know, I'll try and get one working for you." And I got both of them working, and then they never got back to me. They never picked them up or anything. So I care for another G5. No, thank you. So yeah, it's a very, very weird thing. I'm not sure what ended up happening, but they never... I talked to them about what we could do with the G5s. I said, look, I got them both working. This one is the better one, so if you want to use one, I'd go with this one. You know, we could get some more RAM in them if you want to. We could stick a faster hard drive in them, all this sort of stuff. And then they just never got back to me. I think they just offloaded them on me. In the guise of repairing them, they're just like, we're just going to leave him with this guy, make him his problem. Save us from taking them to e-waste. But anyhow, I haven't been game enough yet to call them mine. They're sitting in the shed. I did get two recently. There was a guy, he gets Mac stuff, and he contacted me a while ago and said, "Oh, look, I've got these big units here." And I looked and was like, "Oh yeah, they're G5s." I said, "Look, they're old." I said, "But they could be, you know, they could be collectible." There was one that was working, one that wasn't working. They were both quad cores, but they were the earlier quad core, not the one with the really unreliable liquid cooling. They were the slightly better ones. And they work. One of them sort of works. It boots, but it doesn't go all the way. There's definitely something wrong, but I don't know what it is. The other one works perfectly, and I've got it now in my office. So it's the quad core 2.5. It's not the quad core 2.7. It's the quad core 2.5. Is it? It's 2 joules, I think. I loaded it up with RAM. I couldn't get the full complement of RAM in it. I bought a bunch of RAM, but one of the RAM sticks was faulty. So it's got almost as much RAM as you can have in it. But it's a cool Mac to have. I do like having a G5 that's operational. I can just fire it up at any time because I've got it loaded up with 10.4 and 10.5. I can switch between the two. And it's a nice bridge Mac for intermediate stuff. Yeah, they definitely saw sucker on my forehead. I mean, what are you going to do? So now I've got my original G5 that I bought with my own money back in the olden days in 2003. That one is the very first revision of it. So it's the dual 2 gigahertz one. It was the fastest one that you could get when they very first released them. That was awesome, blazingly fast at the time. It's just so fast, that thing. at the time. Used a lot of electricity. And then I got... and then then I got hold of this other one. So this is a quad core 2.5, and that's taken the spot. But then I still have the original 2 gigahertz. I've got another quad core 2.5, and then 2 other ones. One of them is a dual core, single CPU dual core, and the other one I can't remember what it is. But anyhow, G5s galore, crazy, crazy, crazy. All right, I'm looking for another PLCC. There's a couple over here. So we've got here U44. That's what I'm going to do next. And we can take advantage of my being able to zoom now and stay in focus. So this is, if I can just get this to move a little bit, there we go. So I'm going to be taking off this guy here, U44. Oh, hang on. I've worked out what's going on. I think I've worked out what's going on. I'm pressing the zoom button, and it's giving me the focus. So that's zoom. What if I did that? Nope. Something has happened that this remote control... Oh, no. No, that's all right. It's still stuffed. It's better, but it's still stuffed a bit. Still a bit stuffed. We're good though. We can make it work. Mac Pro 5,1 away. It works fine. I just don't want it. Yeah, I've still got a 5.1. That's my Plex server and my security server. Mind you, it's been running pretty unreliably lately, so I've got to do something with it. The other thing I have with my Mac Pro is I have it running Mojave, I think. And I think that's the last operating system that's in 32-bit or allows 32-bit applications. And so I have a few 32-bit applications, and I just keep it there for running those. Right. That's our U44. There's U44 just there off camera. Just there. You know, as I work on this thing, I kind of get this feeling like I'm never going to finish this. Like this incredibly deep sense of never going to finish it. Oh, that's a non-metal GPU, I take it. So I've got the GPU I have in mine, my 5.1. It's not a Mac edition, but I run OpenCore, and OpenCore allows me to get the boot screen using a non-Apple. I've got the what is it? It's they're really common. I can't remember what they're called. Enjoy the journey, yes. I'll do my best. I'm trying not to cry. Right, let's clean this one up. I sort of skipped a step there. Ow, 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 ow. There we go. So I've been working on a video, I mentioned this at the beginning of this live stream, and I've been restoring a product. So two things that I've needed to do with this product. First of all, it came to me with the US power supply, and I am not in the US, and we use a very different voltage. So when it arrived, I wasn't able to test it because the power supply, I couldn't use the power supply. I thought, no worries, I'll just get a replacement power supply for it, until I found out that the power supply outputs both plus and minus 12 volts. And that is not a power supply you can just get off the shelf. So I've been devising a system whereby I can just use a standard power supply and then output to minus 12 and plus 12. And then I'll be able to get this thing working. There were some other things I had to restore, which I've already done. But this video should be coming out soon. And just for anyone who is interested, this is what the product is. Come on, cable. Come on. It's a long cable. It's this. It's called an Unmouse. Unmouse. Do you have too much mouse? Unmouse. There we go. So that video is almost finished. I've just got a little bit more to do. But that's been a fun little project, I have to say. I've been enjoying doing that. If there's anyone out there who has an Unmouse, I can pretty much guarantee you it doesn't work because of a kind of a, what do you call it, a flaw. The way they were made means that they deteriorate with age. And so I can pretty much guarantee anyone who has an Unmouse, even if it's brand new in box, I would be inclined to say that it won't work. But if you're wanting to get it working, I can show you my amazing video, which will go through the steps I've taken. That's a good question. The mouse and Unmouse we're talking about, and we talk about a matter and antimatter type situation here. We all know what happens when antimatter hits matter. We've seen that in Doctor Who. It's bad. Possibly Star Trek as well. Jeff Geerling is here. Hello there to you. Jeff is the absolute master of Raspberry Pi stuff. Anytime I'm looking for ideas of things I can do with a Raspberry Pi, I just jump across to Jeff's channel and check that out. I've actually got a Raspberry Pi project. I've got a Raspberry Pi project that I'm going to be starting fairly soon, just while we're on that subject. And I'm just utilising, so this is just a Raspberry Pi 4. 4 is fine for what I'm going to be doing with it. But I got this really, really cool thing. They're very, very cheap, very accessible. It's just a little pass-through thing that allows you to plug it into a Raspberry Pi like that. And it, first of all, gives you a little power connector here, so you can run power from that instead of having to use up your USB-C port. So it gives you a USB-C port, but it makes the little micro HDMIs full-size HDMI and puts them on the same side as these here. So it means that if you want to mount this into a case, you've got all of your ports down one side there, apart from the audio. But that's not going to matter for the project that I've got coming up. So that's coming up. That is definitely coming up. I'm really looking forward to that one. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Sits there 24/7 being a pie hole. Oh yeah. Oh, look. Actually, Jeff, that's interesting. You say that. Someone sent me this just the other day. I've just got to open the box. Someone sent me this, which is, A to DVI, A2 DVI, Apple II Digital Video. And so this is a little kit with the stuff. And then I've got, I think it attaches to a board or something. Plug it in. Anyhow, it's really looking forward to getting that set up. Because I too have an Apple IIe. Now, the main problem I have with my Apple IIe is it has a US power supply in it. So I've got to replace that with an Australian power supply, and then I'll be able to do the stuff for the graphics. The main problem I have with Apple IIes is space. Space for the IIe. We were having trouble with the VSync on my ancient Sony CRT. A2 DVI was a godsend. Yeah. Isn't it amazing what you can do now with these little tiny Raspberry Pis? I mean, you know, people have these little emulated original Macintoshes that are just running on one of those little, whatever they are, Picos, I guess. I think the Nano's the bigger one, isn't it? Pico's the teeny weeny one. I've got lots of Picos because I use them for SCSI emulators. And the Picos, they're the ones that have the wireless, aren't they? I think. No, not that. Oh well. I can just stay lost for the moment. The U-key doesn't work, so we can't run any programs. Now, hang on. Oh, yeah. But you could load them, couldn't you? Can't you put... In ProDOS, if you just put... Isn't it a dash or something before the name of the file? It'll just launch it. It'll load it from the disk and launch it at the same time. I think there's a shortcut, so you don't need run. I'm pretty sure there's a shortcut, but it's only in ProDOS. It's not in original DOS. But there'll probably be other Apple II experts out there that know that better than I do. But I think if you just press the hyphen key, it will run. So, because you know how you have run or C run. Is it C run? No. B run? B run. Jesus, going back here a long way. Those bits of my brain, all that information is sort of starting to deteriorate. Yeah, but I think it's a hyphen. Double check. There's probably other Apple experts in here that can actually confirm that. But I think you can use a hyphen, which actually works as a wildcard. It'll run or be run, depending on whether it's a binary or not. But I could be completely wrong with that. But anyhow. Yeah, I mean, I am just constantly dazzled by things like the Raspberry Pi, what you can do with it, what you can do with this tiny weeny little board, you know, and you know, you can load Ubuntu on it, and you can do web browsing on it, or you know, in the instance of a lot of these little emulators and stuff like that, people are using like a little Raspberry Pi Pico board just to do like boring stuff like decoding signals to do an ADB to USB converter and stuff like that. It's just amazing. Acorn. My mother worked with Acorn computers. My mother was a teacher, and I'm sure at where she was teaching, they got a bunch of Acorn computers, because that name really rings a bell. So, there's a bit of history for ya. I'll tell you one thing I did find really interesting. As I mentioned before, the video I'm working on at the moment is for this Unmouse product. This Unmouse product is made by a company called Microtouch. And they're still around. They are still making stuff. They're one of the sort of apparently top specialist companies in capacitive touch stuff. So, yeah. I still play Taipan on the Apple II. I used to love Taipan. Love Taipan. I wrote Taipan from the ground up. I wrote it so that it was easier for me to win, of course. But at my school, we had micro Bs, so they were big in Australia. You wouldn't probably know them in other parts of the world, but in Australia, we had micro B computers. They were the very first sorts of personal computer that they started getting into the schools. That was when I was still in what we call primary school. I'm not sure what that's called other places. So I was about 10, probably 9 or 10 years old, something like that. And they got these micro B computers in. We had one computer room for the school, or with this room full of micro Bs. And one of the games they had on that was a game called Taipan. But I didn't have a micro B at home. I had a thing called a Dick Smith VZ300. Actually, it was a 200, and then that died, and then I got a 300. So a VZ200, which was effectively like a laser 200 computer. So for people who know about their vintage computers, or their 80s micros, and Taipan wasn't available for that. So what I did was I actually just went home and I wrote Taipan, because I was getting into programming. I just wrote Taipan from the ground up, and so I could play it at home. And the thing was that I was not a big fan of how easy it was to die in the real game, so I made it so it was a little bit easier to win, because I could. Grant, your first computer was a VZ200 too. How about that? VZ200. So yeah, it was a laser 200. It was rebadged as a VZ200 and sold here in an electronics chain called Dick Smith Computers. Yeah, I mean, look, when I wanted to get a computer, I was really getting into computers. A friend of mine had computers, and I was just loving them. And so I was sort of, wanting my parents to get a computer, but because they didn't want to spend too much on it, because, it's like, essentially it was just like, this is a kid's toy, you know what I mean? It's like, this isn't necessarily going to be something that changes our lives, but it kind of did change our lives. Yeah. So that was kind of the first computer we had in the house, and then my parents ended up using it as well, because it had a word processor, and so they used to use the word processor. And then the next computer we got was an Apple IIe. And we got that with the green screen monitor and the Duo drive in the middle there. Then later on we got a hard drive for it. And then after that we then got a Macintosh Classic. And then we got an upgrade for that. Or I think it was a Warp 030 or something like that. Geez, I wish I still had that computer with that upgrade. But I don't. And then I got a cat. Yeah, cool. Charlie's here. Hello there, Charlie. We had a bunch of 2Cs at school and a single 2GS. The computer lab had Mac LCs and single Performer 600 with the internet. See, once I got to high school, I can't even remember what computers they had. By that stage, I was such a computer nerd that kind of what was going on at the school, this is going to sound so arrogant, but what was going on at the school was just so beneath me in terms of where I was computer-wise, at home. And so I really didn't pay a whole lot of attention to the whole computery stuff in high school. I mean, I guess I probably did some of them, but I don't really remember it very well. I think we had 2GSs. I think there were 2GSs at my high school. That sort of rings a bell. But yeah, for me, computing was more about stuff I was doing at home, not really at school. I went to high school. When did I go to high school? Oh, crap. 80? So, 84. But yeah, 1985, I think. I think 1985 is when I started high school. I think. But don't quote me on that, because that might be wrong, but pretty sure. Didn't enjoy it very much. Desperate to leave, as a matter of fact. We might go as far as to say that. Sorry, I just didn't have my fume extractor on and ended up with a face full of smoke. And we don't want that. We're trying to promote good health here. Safe practices. I had to wait until I was 48 to get a 2E and 2GS. Yeah, I still don't have a 2GS. I have had someone say they will give me one, but I haven't seen that person in a really long time. Because they said they have heaps of them. And they don't like them. Speaking of which, I have got to do some work on the person who has the computer with me. I am making progress with the repairs I have here. You know, I've stopped taking on repairs because I just don't have the kind of bandwidth to do them. I just don't have enough time. I've got a full-time job and I do a YouTube channel and I just don't have the time to be doing repairs as well, and they take a lot of time. In the olden days, they didn't used to. They used to just be, oh, hey, I've got this computer, it needs recapping. It's like, yeah, great, no worries, I'll recap it. Bang, recapped. Done in sort of, you know, half an hour, whatever, half an hour to an hour, recapped, clean, ready to go. Now, every computer that comes my way has a problem. You recap it, still doesn't work. And someone sent me an SE30 to work on, one of my favourite Macs to work on. Repaired it, had problems. Repaired the problems on the logic board, and now I've got a problem on the analog board. It's like, you know, everywhere you look. I'm tempted to just give them one of my analog boards and I'll figure it out later on. Look at that. Beautiful. Oh, geez, I just had just thought crossed into my head of what I'm cooking for myself for dinner tonight. For myself and my wife. Yum, 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 yum. I have always thought the 2GS is a great computer. I love the colour. I love the fact that it has kind of like a funky, trying to be a Macintosh type operating system that you can run on it. I just think they're a nice looking computer. Okay, what are we up to here? U35, okay? Can everyone remember that? U35, because I will forget by the time I get to the other board. I can do top view here. Top view. RAM DAC. What's a RAM DAC? Now, the reason why I'm doing all the PLCCs first is because they're very robust. And this board's going to have a lot of handling before I finish it. You know, I've got to pick it up and put it down and pick it up and put it down. And it's going to have handling left, right, and centre. And the pins on the PLCCs are really, really strong. So I'm going to leave the ones with the thin pins till a little bit further down the track. Like these ones here. What was the number I said? Was it 35? I feel like it was 35. Yeah, it was 35. RAM-based digital to analog converter. Sounds very complex. Ray, hello, Ray. I don't think I've said hello to you, Ray. I'm grilling some gyros meat from Costco to pair with some pitta and tzatziki from scratch. Cool. So, what's gyros meat? I'm not sure what gyros meat is. I don't know if that's a something that's non-Australian. I certainly know about the other stuff, though. Ooh, souvlaki. Yum. So we're going the Greek feast. We have a very big Greek community here in Sydney, and so there's a lot of the cultural influence. And I used to be in a car club, and there were a lot of Greek people in that car club. And so when we used to go out and do barbecues and stuff, we'd be cooking up souvlakis and having them in a bit of pitta. Aussies probably call it kebab meat, probably, yeah. Souvlaki on a spit. Yeah, okay. Alrighty, okay. Yeah, and I think... Yeah, we definitely don't call it that here, I can tell you that for sure. I would know. Souvlaki is different than Greek American. Is it pronounced gyros? Gyros? Because that looks to me, it's like it's spelt gyros, but I'm assuming it's probably like gyros. Oh, gyros. Okay. Gyros. Yep, no, don't know that one at all. At all. But I'll tell you what, one of the things that we do have out here, and anyone does come to Australia, got to get yourself a doner kebab. They're everywhere. You'll be able to get them pretty much from anywhere. Some are better than others, but they're all pretty darn good. The best place to get them are the ones that are open till really late at night. So, you know, if you're in an area where there's, you know, a bit of a nightlife going on, you'll find there'll be a kebab place somewhere that opens until late at night. And you can usually get yourself like a 2 a.m. street kebab. And that is my idea of heaven. It's just one of the tastiest things out there. Any Aussie will tell you that. So the kebab, it's sort of like it's a great big slab of circular minced meat that's seasoned, like seasoned minced meat, and it's on a turntable thing, sort of upright. It's like a big cylinder type thing, and then it spins around with the heat on the side. So it's like cooking it on a spit, but sideways sort of thing, upright and sideways. So it spins around, and then when the outside cooks, they just cut it off. They cut it off with a great big knife. They slice it off the side. So they slice the cooked bit off to then reveal more meat behind it, sort of thing. And then they put that on. You get a piece of Lebanese bread. You put that meat on there. Usually then have it with lettuce, tomato, onion, maybe a bit of hummus, maybe a bit of garlic sauce, some tabbouleh, and then whatever your sauce is. Favourite sauces, barbecue sauce, tomato sauce, chili sauce, whatever. People add whatever sauce they want to it. And then it's rolled up tight, sort of ends up looking like a one of those, like a burrito sort of thing. It kind of ends up looking like a burrito. And then you get it sort of wrapped in paper and a little foil thing, and you just tear around the top and you just work your way down. It's just one of the yummiest things ever. It's making me extremely hungry. We've got a kebab place just near us that has always made beautiful kebabs, but I think they just changed hands recently. I think they've been sold to a new person. And last time we got kebabs there, they weren't very good. So I'm just hoping that it was just a one-off. I'm going to give them another chance, but if the next one is as bad as the last one, I will have to find a new kebab place. The main advantage to that one was it was so freaking close. Right, I'm going to do the Ramdak next because I love the sound of it. HSP. So B Morny AU. HSP stands for Halal Snack Pack. They're a big thing out here. Actually, you just reminded me, there is another kebab place that's really close to me that does sensational kebabs. They're a bit hard to park, but that's, I think, where I'm going to have to get my kebabs from now on. But anyhow, they do have things called a halal snack pack, and it's sort of like the meat from a kebab, but it's served in like a container, like a square box type container. So there's that meat, and then they pour sauces all over it, and I think you have it with chips as well. I've never actually had a halal snack pack. I've seen plenty of people order them and eat them, but I just always go the kebab. I love tzatziki. That's nice stuff. All right, let's whip off another chip. There's a great big fat one, this one here. BT. I don't know what BT stands for. Bankers Trust. Brooktree. There we go. I knew someone would know. Because this is a bigger one, it's taking a bit of a while to come off. It's starting to go. There he is. There's a barbecue place in this part of the state I've been going to since Power Max were the hot new thing. They've become bad and it's disappointing. Yeah. I mean, where I live, there's a group of shops very nearby that have 2 hamburger places there. And I used to always go to the first one, always. And then one day I got a burnt one from them. And then that's not enough for me to stop going there. I mean, But there was this other burger place in the same group of shops just further down. And it had been there for a while, and I was just sort of like, I want to give them a try. And their burgers were beautiful. They were just so much nicer. And so I've just been a convert. I just go there all the time now. Australian burgers, the standard Australian burger when you're getting it from a normal burger joint is you'll get sesame seed bun, you'll have lettuce, tomato, possibly some cooked or some raw onion, not always, but sometimes, but definitely lettuce and tomato. You get your meat patty, and then, some barbecue sauce. Oh, and beetroot. You always have beetroot on Australian ones. If you get the lot, what they call the lot, you'll get lettuce, tomato, onion, beetroot, a slice of pineapple, egg, bacon, and cheese. So I generally get my burgers with no beetroot and bacon and cheese. I'm kind of okay with beetroot. I just don't particularly like them on burgers. Yeah. Oh, that's Sydney, by the way. In Melbourne, you have to ask for everything you want. If you go to a place and you say, I want a hamburger, you'll just end up getting like meat and a sesame seed bun. You might get a little bit of lettuce if you're lucky. Everything you want on a Melbourne burger, you've got to ask for. I want lettuce, I want tomato, I want beetroot, that sort of thing. Sorry about all the food talk here. I don't know about you guys, but I am so friggin' hungry now. I'm cooking. What am I cooking tonight? I've got to remember the name of the thing. Pork tonkatsu. So for anyone who is a little familiar with the Japanese language, I'm sure I'm pronouncing it wrong, but tonkatsu means deep fried. So it's basically pork fillets that have been crumbed and then fried. It was what Americans call breaded. That's not a term we use here. We don't use breaded, we use crumbed. There is something that I'm really thingy about when it comes to hamburgers, and a lot of people are going to disagree with me on this, and that's fine. There's things like burgers, there are personal preferences. I get really, really frustrated by people that, like whoever's making the burger, trying to make the burger massive, really tall, like layering heaps and heaps of stuff on till you get to the point that there's no way you can eat it without making an absolute frickin' mess of yourself and crap falling out of the burger. For me, a hamburger has to be able to fit into your mouth. You have to be able to take a bite out of the side of it. And when someone goes in and makes a meat patty that's like an inch thick and then loads it with heaps and heaps of stuff and that, I'm just like, I'm not interested. I don't want that. For me, the important thing with a burger is the ratio of things. The amount of meat in there versus the amount of salad stuff versus the amount of sauce or whatever the case is. And when people start making these disproportionately large burgers, I'm just not interested. And they do them a lot of the time because then they can go, oh, this is a fancy burger. We can charge, $30 for this hamburger or whatever. And I'm just sort of like, nah, I don't like it. I don't like it. Ever seen the Windows 7 Whopper? 7 quarter pounder patties with cheese between each one? No, I would not eat that. There's no way I would eat that. That's why McDonald's bacon double cheeseburger is great. 3 bites and it's gone. Yes. I always end up on food eventually, don't I? It's funny. I mean, I do have other interests. You can get me started talking about either 3D printing or food. And I just love different types of food. I love food variety and stuff like that. Poops. Not enough solder on my tip. I mean, I see people sometimes with these gigantic burgers and they're behaving like, it's like they're getting something really, really good. And I just look and I just think, it's just unmanageable. It's bad. There's a barbecue place quite near to where I live. They're not open all the time. They're sort of, you've got to really make an effort to go there because they're open at weird hours. But they're one of the ones that do all the slow-cooked smoked meats and stuff like that. They're quite nice. They've got some nice burgers there as well. A bit overdone, a bit big, a bit expensive. Fast food's quite expensive in Australia. More expensive than it is in other places. But there are a couple of things you need to consider with that. First of all, you don't tip in Australia for fast food. Not a single cent. So, and the other thing is that they don't add taxes on at the end of it. So the price that you're actually seeing there is the price you actually pay. It's not like Matters saying, oh, look, this burger's only $5, but then you get taxes added on and then you get tips that you have to pay. So the price that you have in Australia that's the finished price. The other thing is that in Australia, labour is more expensive because we've got a relatively high minimum wage. And so for that reason, it means the running costs of these places are higher, and so they have to charge more for the food. And that's just, I accept that. I think that's fair enough. I mean, people should be able to work for a decent amount of money. And if it means that I end up having to pay more for my food, so be it. But sometimes you get these American companies that try and set up fast food joints out here, and they end up not doing particularly well for that reason, that they're making themselves out to be some sort of fancy burger place, but in actual fact they're just your run-of-the-mill sort of hamburgers, but they're having to charge a fortune for them. So there was a company that started here, I think they might still be going, but they're called Five Guys Burgers. And I think they're an American company, and they set up out here. And they ended up having to make their burgers so expensive. And they weren't really that much better than just like Burger King, what we call Hungry Jack's. We don't have Burger King here. It's called Hungry Jack's out here. But that's where you get yourself a Whopper. And the Whoppers are actually a pretty nice burger. Yeah, what is not expensive here? Yep. Well, there was a burger that I had ages ago. Look, a long time ago. We talk about in the 90s, and I don't think it ever got brought back. McDonald's was a limited release McDonald's burger, and it was like the Chinese burger or something like that, or the Asian burger. I can't even remember what they called it. But it was only for a very limited time, and it had meat patty in it. It had this absolutely sensational sauce in it. It was just so good. It was the nicest sauce out there. And I used to just get them. That was all I was getting. But it was limited. And they never brought it back. Five Guys is expensive in the US too. That's interesting. Can you Mac laptops or Apple laptops run Windows? I think they can, but only with additional software. I think you'd need Parallels or something like that. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, well, actually, that's not. I can tell you 100% certain. Yes, you can, but you do need. So if you're running an Apple Silicon, you can't just go into Boot Camp. You have to use something like Parallels. Because I have that on my Mac. I used to have to use Windows all the time, just for one client, and so I would just have Parallels running on that. I don't anymore because Microsoft brought out some software for the Mac that I can use instead of having to use the Windows software. So I really don't need to go into Windows very often at all. Wendy's is actually coming out here. They've already opened their first store. It's at the Gold Coast, I think, which I think is a dumb place to open your first one because it's dependent on tourism. And I mean, they've been having flooding and all sorts of things going on up there, so I don't know. But Silicon. What silicon? Apple Silicon. I'll tell you where I did have dinner the other night, on Wednesday night, because I went in and saw a show, as I mentioned before. I went and saw Chaka Khan live. I ate at Wahlburgers. It's the third time I've eaten at Wahlburgers, and I've eaten at two different ones. I've eaten at one at One in the city on Circular Quay, and I've eaten at one at Bondi. And the one at Circular Quay is definitely better than the one at Bondi. There's no doubt about that. The food's better, the drinks are better. Francois, no, you're not meant to be sleeping. That's wrong. That's wrong. But it's quite nice. I mean, it's overpriced at Wahlburgers. That is, I think it's too expensive. But I did like the burger. I got a burger there, and I thought it was a very tasty one. You're off to bed. Good night, Francois. I definitely enjoyed Wahlburgers. It's the chain made by Marky Mark. Apparently, he doesn't like it if you call him that, so don't call him that to his face. Nice little one. Have you come? There you go. Here we go. And he is U63. U63. I love hamburgers. I should really just say that straight off the bat. It is one of my favourite food things. You just get, a bun, put some meat in it, and it's like, it's just awesome. Great invention. Thank you, the US, for that. I don't think I cleaned that last one. If I did it without thinking. Ow. 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 If it's good, I don't mind paying a little extra for food. Yep, that's a very good attitude to have. Still trying to find a good fried chicken place. There's one that's relatively near to where I live. Well, two relatively near. Well, three if you include KFC, but I'm going to leave KFC out of this because they haven't done good fried chicken in a long time. But there's one called Broasters. They make some pretty nice fried chicken. And then there's another one, what are they called? Wing Shack. But they only fry wings. And they do it with this double coating, so it's like really, really crispy. A little bit too much for me, actually. Too much coating. Oh, no. Look at how short these are. What a nightmare. Save the awful ones to last. We'll have to ask Bolle nicely when he does the next run if he can make the pads a little bit wider for this one. Because these pads are really tucked away. These are the ones that I came unstuck with when I did my my SE board. I just had so many pins that I hadn't done properly because of these little tiny pads. I think they're all good. I will need to check. Bacon cheeseburger. Yeah. Yeah, whenever I get a burger, I always get it with lettuce, tomato, onion, bacon, cheese. And the beef patty, of course. God, there's one that's just not taking solder. Come on. Come on. Killing me here. I'm dying here. Oh, I'm not even showing you the scope view. You can see how much I'm struggling. God, grief. It's just not getting any solder onto the pad. I don't know what to do. What do I do? It's just unbelievable. Yeah, I think I'm going to have to Rossman the hell out of this, aren't I? Look, see, none of those have got solder on them. This is just extraordinary. I'm going to try a different tip. A little wedge. Ba-ba-ba-ba. Ba-ba-ba-ba-bum. I have quite a few copy tips here, as in ones that weren't actually made by Hacko, but this one I'm using now is an actual genuine Hacko. There we go. If I can get all the PLCCs on in this live stream, I will feel like I've achieved something. Yeah, it's working. That's working. Thank you. Got that side done. Oh, this doesn't look too crash hot either. Okay, so note to self, when I'm doing these little tiny PLCCs, use a little chisel tip. It works so much better. Just looking around, and I think this is indeed the last PLCC. Oh no, 2 more to go. 3 more to go. There's another little one sneaking in there. We'll be fine though. We'll be fine. Do I notice a difference between the Hacko and non-Hacko tips? It's a big difference, so I've never bought genuine. It's a big price difference, so I've never bought genuine. I don't know if I just think there is or not. I mean, so the 2 main tips that I use, I buy the genuine Hacko ones. I think they last longer. That's probably one of the main things I would say. They do last longer. As to whether they actually perform better or not, yeah, I don't know. It's a bit of a stretch. Okie dokie. I bought the $7 one in your affiliate link and it's going strong for 2 years. Well, there you go. Hacko doesn't make T12 tips anymore. Are you serious? I'm probably going to be ditching Hacko soon anyway. Yeah. U35, is that what I just took off? Or was it U57? Yeah, U57. That's what I took off. Yeah. Right here. The thing is that one of the things that Hacko did was I believe they were the first to bring out these cartridge-style soldering tips, and it was really a breakthrough. It was a huge breakthrough to do that because they have such good heat transfer. The tip itself is the heater, and they are really, really good at getting hot fast. But other companies have advanced in this technology as well, and so you'll find plenty of companies out there that have their own cartridges, and some of them they get hot so much faster than the Hackos do. Yeah, I know the FX951 has been discontinued, but I don't think it's the only one that uses cartridges, and there is a new one. There is a replacement to the FX951, and I thought it still used T12s, but maybe it doesn't. I'll be interested to know. I mean, I buy my T12s from an Australian supplier. I'll be interested to know if they can still get them. Son of a gun. I'm going to have to check this out from the side. 100%. I bought this Hacko simply because it used T12 tips. It used cartridges, basically. And because there are lots of things I really don't like about this soldering iron. But I do really like the cartridges, and I love being able to hot swap them. I love being able to change the tip while I'm soldering, not having to wait for it to cool down or remove it with pliers or something like that. So for that reason, That's the reason why I basically like design. But there's one I'm looking at the moment. I've contacted the maker of it and asked if they would be willing to send me a sample for review. And I'm just waiting to hear back from them. And if it's good, I will start using it. Okay. Yeah. Look at those bridges. Okay. What brand is it, if you can say? I can say it's Fume. I can't remember who it was that pointed out in one of my live streams. They said, "Oh, I bought a Fume." And I looked at it and I thought, "Oh, I'd like to give that a try." The controls on the 951 are a mystery to me. I set the temperature 2 years ago. I can't remember how I did it, like a car stereo. It is the dumbest thing in the world. So this is what you have to do if you want to change the temperature in your Hacko. First thing you need to do is you need to put the key in it. Yes, you have to put the key in it. Then when the key goes in, you then press the star button. Star button. I don't have the key in, I think. There we go. So the key goes in, you press the star button, the star selects the number, and then you go up or down for that number. So if it's 300 and I wanted to change to 400, I have to highlight the 4 and go up 1. So it doesn't go like, 300, 301, 302, 303. It goes, you change the digit you want to change, and then you take the key out. Something like that. I think it's stupid. Oh, wow, that went bright, didn't it? Right. 3 more. Can I be bothered doing another 3 of these things? Don't answer that, it's rhetorical. Jay is here. Hello there, Jay from the House of Moth. Actually, that reminds me, you know what I have not done? I have not promoted the latest episode that just dropped yesterday for Startup Disk is Full, my other little side hustle thingy. It's a little tech chat that I do with Jay from the House of Moth and Dana from Dana Does Stuff. I'm sure Jay will drop in a link to it there because he's as proud of it as I am. U33, that one. And we recorded an episode the other day on Has Technology Made Our Lives Better? And we had a lot of fun recording it, just chatting away. That's a fun way to sort of spend a bit of time. We get a bit philosophical. Can you believe we've made 12 episodes already? Kind of extraordinary, isn't it? Yeah, built for organisers. Chris Donnelly has just said built for organisations and not individuals. That's correct. That's about the soldering iron. But at the same time, I just the idea that you would say to someone you have to solder at the temperature I'm telling you to solder at, rather than the temperature you want to solder at, I would just be livid if someone said to me, "No, you got to solder at 320 degrees C. That's it. That's what you're getting." I'd be like, "Piss off." So please feel free to subscribe to our wonderful channel, Startup Disk is Full. And feel free to comment on our videos and watch them and laugh about them. And we get a bit carried away sometimes. We did, episode 11 was like 2 hours long. A bit crazy. But we did have Steve as a guest on that one, so we'll just blame him for going for such a long time. We could easily do a 6-hour show, but we chose to spare people the pain, yeah. And there is also that whole issue of having to stop and eat. Okay, I know this one's an absolute mess, so I'm going to have to look at this one from the side. I can see that I've got some that haven't soldered, and I can see some that are bridged. Oh, I need some folks on that. Damn, this one is as stubborn as anything. It was you. I had a feeling it was you, but I wasn't willing to just come out and say that. But I just went and had a look at it, and I really liked the look of it. Was it this one? Trying to remember which one I was actually working on here. Oh, it's got to be this one, because my God, what a mess that is. Go. Rodville, hello there, welcome. GitHub repo for the real Bolle doesn't seem to have files. Is this pre-release? Oh, that's probably the case. Look, I got the link, but I didn't even go in and check it. I saw that it was there, but if there are no files, yeah, it must be pre-release. So the story to this is, I'll just explain very quickly, Chris. So Bolle created this. He designed it, and he then got 5 boards done. For a test, and he did one, and it worked. There was only one bodge wire that he needed to put in. It was like almost there, and so he asked me if I wanted one of the boards. So he just sent it to me just for the cost of postage. because he knew I'm crazy enough to do it. And yeah, so he may not have released the final files yet. He might be waiting for me to finish this to see if I have the same level of success, or to get my feedback, like me complaining about the pads of these little PLCCs being way too small and driving me bananas. Bananas. All right, second last PLCC, unless I find another one. This is a little tiny one, and it's a Motorola, and it's in position U34. Nice. Yeah. Yeah. Something weird going on here. He's labelled it as U90. When it's very, very clearly U30. So that was U35. That was U35. That was U33. That's U33. Then this one here is labelled it as U90. It's in a different position. But I'm sure it's the one. U70, U71. U81. U87. This is kind of baffling. Definitely says U90. Sorry, I'm just hunting the board here. U76. Well, I'm baffled, but I'm just going to assume that the labelling is incorrect here. Yes, the fume extractor is on. If I get close, you can hear it. It's times like these you want the schematics and Gerbers. Yeah. I'm just going to have to assume that there is a mislabeling going on here, because there's only 2 more PLCCs on this. And this is the size of this one. But it's labelled as U90. I'll have to check his notes, because he did actually tell me there were some mistakes on it. Let me just have a look. Have a quick look here. It's on Discord. I communicate on Discord. I don't have Discord on this computer? I do. No, I don't. I'm an idiot. I'm going to have to do it on my phone. I have to get Discord on this. Discord. So let's have a look here. Where is he? Where is he? Here he is. Now let me just... Alright, just having a look. Just going back over here. Okay, that's for the start of the conversation. Okay. Most passives are in the same location or very close to their original location versus the original board. The 74F803 that distributes the CPU clock signal has a combined footprint on the new board, so... okay, so I've got to do a little bit of chicanery there. No, he's made no mention of there being any labelling issues, so I am going to have to investigate that, but I can't see anywhere else where this little guy would go. So that's where he's going to go. Typical that this would happen just towards the end here, and I'm like, yeah, I'm just about home with all these PLCC chips. And then we get one that just appears to be labelled wrong. Helps if you put the fume extractor in a location where it will actually extract the fumes. Just want to try something here, see how I go with it. Right. If anyone is already cottoned on to what I'm thinking of doing is putting this on with hot air rather than soldering around the side. I wouldn't do this with a big one, but with a little one like this, I think it's possibly achievable. See how that looks. Good. Probably use a little bit more solder there. Maybe not that much. There we go. That doesn't look super good there. There we go. I'm going to have to assume that there. Yep, they're soldered. Whew. Right, there we go. The last one, folks. It's the last one, then we can all go and do our respective things. Thank you to everyone that's watching. It looks like I'm sitting up and around about high 60s at the moment for viewers. So hello to you all, to everyone who has joined. I do appreciate it. To the people who have been here since the beginning, bravo, bravo. Just a reminder, a little recap of what's going on here. I am taking components from an old Macintosh Quadra 950 board that has been damaged by a battery leakage. And I'm taking those components and putting them onto a reproduced board created by Bolle, U32. Yeah, that's kind of the gist of it. Just want to try something here. If I can push these pins in a little bit. There we go. That might make it a little bit easier, we'll see. Okay. Fumes. Fume alert. So what I'm going to do with this board is I'm going to take a photo of my Quadra 950 board and I'm going to send a photo of it to Bolle and just say, can you please have a look at the numbering of the passives, the labelling of the passives, and confirm to me that they are the same as on your Quadra 950 board? Because I have this feeling like we're looking at two different things. And I would like this to work. I'd be pretty bummed to go through all this only to find that I put a whole bunch of components in the wrong place. Alright, alright, alright. What I'm hoping is by bending those pins in a little bit, I'll get a bit more space around the... Oh, these ones aren't as bad. I went to all that trouble for nothing. This one's... The pads come out further on this one. Oh well. Oh well. Or maybe it is because I pushed them in. What is the ref des that is the problem? I'm not sure I follow that. I mean, Bolle's incredibly helpful with this stuff, so I'm sure we'll be able to figure out what's going on. I have a dream that one day Apple will release all of the schematics of all these vintage ones. I'm happy for it to just be 68K. I don't mind if they don't bring out the PowerPC. But I would love for Apple to release all of the schematics for all their, going back from the original Mac right up to the very last of 68040s. Oh yeah, we are. I'm not sure about going strong, Jeff, but going. So I've just put on what I believe to be the last of the PLCC chips, which I think was it this one that I just did. I think it was this one. This one still looks very wet. It's very moist. Yeah, that one. And it's still hot too. Yeah. So we had a little bit of fun with some of these because some of them they had really tight little pads. Oh, got some bridges. This is why we check. There we go, looking better. Phew. Tell you what, I feel like I got more than my fair share of fumes today, even with the fume extractor. Got to be the safeties here. Right, so now let's see if I can zoom this out without it going out of focus. No promises. Okay, come on, do your thing. You can do it. It's trying. Oh well, we'll just have to zoom in a little bit more. Weird, isn't it? It's almost like it just can't focus. I have to figure out what's going on with that because it did used to focus. So, okay, so this is where I'm up to. I have replaced all of the PLCC chips. So that's a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. I believe that is correct. That could be off a bit because I've lost my place on the board a bit there. But so they're all done. What I really want to do next are all the passives. But as I said before, I've got a bit of an issue here because I just feel like there's something wacky going on with the numbering on this board compared to the old board. You know, I was speaking specifically to these ones here. So these are your RAM chips, right? There's your RAM chips there. They all go in there. And then we have a capacitor that sits, well, yeah, capacitor for each one of these. Each one of these, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we have a capacitor for each row of these. Now, it would just make perfect sense that these capacitors here, which one for each row, would go over there. However, the numbering of these is completely out to the numbering on this. And I just don't know why that's the case. And that's where I need to sort of alert Bolle of my situation and just see what he thinks about it before I stick any more of those passives on there and potentially find out I put them in the wrong place. Because, yeah, that does not make sense to me that they'd all be numbered differently. So what I did then, because I couldn't move the passives, I did the PLCCs. These are nice, strong chips. They've got nice, strong, durable pins that don't get bent easily. So I thought they can stay on the board here. These ones here that have all the fine pins, I don't want to put them on until right near the end because they're just so easy to bump and have two pins smush into each other. So, yeah. Solder smells so nice. Solder's pretty odorless. It's more all of the wick in it, wickety whack. Yeah. So anyhow, look. I mean, I'm going to put this to one side for the moment. I do want to just have a quick look at these very quickly because I may end up just assembling one of these or starting to assemble one of these just for a bit of fun. So. These are something stuck to that. Was there something stuck to that? Oh, it is a little component. Come back, little component. Little capacitor there. So these are these little cool little things. Just got to go back here. So these are Apple IIe things. I am also an Apple IIe person, even though I only have one. Not like my Macs, I have 50 million of them. But I do have an Apple IIe and I have an Apple IIc. And for the Apple IIe, I've got a nice color monitor, and for the Apple IIe, I've got a nice color monitor. For the Apple IIc, I have the little green screen monitor that looks like ET. One of the big problems with the Apple IIc is there are two different versions of it. There's the PAL version and the NTSC version. And not many people realize this, but the PAL version does not output color through the composite. So you can't get color from the composite at all. The only way you can get color from a PAL version is to get a little adapter that goes from the actual display plug. And I don't know anyone that's selling those anymore. They used to, but I don't think they are anymore. But that means that I basically can't get color from my Apple IIc. So anyhow, I got this. This is from Josh, Mr. Tech Gadget. He sent these to me, and I do actually want to look at building these. I wish I knew where that capacitor came from. And is that from something else, or is that part of this kit? We'll soon find out, I guess. But we've got here, this is the board. Yeah, okay, so this is the one for, I think this is the one for the video output, I think. The Apple II DVI, Apple II digital video. I'm pretty sure it's that one. I think. I'll have a look. I've just realised that I've completely lost the chat. So there we go. Let's have a look at what we have here. Well, look at what we have here. Yeah, so that's got a HDMI output there, and that I guess is meant to go here. Yep, indeed. And then we've got the Pico that's going to go on there. Which way? Well, it's got to go that way, doesn't it? Because you're not going to be able to plug the USB-C in that way with the port, so that'll have to go on that way. Come on, you can focus. We know you can. There you go. Yeah, and then we've got 4 of these little things here. And I guess there's probably meant to be some little tiny resistors there as well. Have they fallen out? Have we lost them? We'll see. They're probably here somewhere. He's very, very careful. Oh, here they are. Look at the way he does this. How cool is this? Look at this stuck on here. So you can see all of the little components there. Alright, so seeing as I have still got 74 people hanging around, I figured I might just have a crack at soldering this together if you guys are happy with that. So I'm going to probably start with the little teensy-weensy ones. R9 and C2. So what have we got here? Okay, there's R1, R2, R3, R4, R5, R6, R7, R8. Where are they all? They must be on the other side. Nope. Where are they? Is that all these? It's all these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, okay. So we've got a whole... Oh, you're not looking at the... Sorry. Right. So that must be all of these ones here. So I'm going to grab those. Hopefully he gave me some spares, because I do have a knack for losing these things. But as usual with these, what I will typically do, I feel like putting the connector on first might be the way to go, because then I can get in there like that. I don't know. Put the HDMI on first, or put the HDMI on last? Stuff it, I'm going to stick the resistors on first. I may live to regret it, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to change to my other soldering iron tip. And we'll just see how many of these we can get through before I run out of steam. I've been going now for 2.5 hours. That's a long time. Right, so I've just switched over to the main tip that I use, which is a BC12, BC2? Yeah, BC2, T12 BC2. It's my favoritist tip in the whole world. Why has them boards have holes in them when you solder them onto the other board? Oh, you talking about here? Well, it's because you have the option to either use a lifty-offy thing, you know, a header type thing. So you can solder a header into that if you want, and then solder this onto the header so it's lifted up off the board. Or you can solder it directly to the board. And I opt for soldering it directly to the board. I like doing it that way. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Fumes in my face. Where's Jay telling me to put my fume extractor on? I need a J here to say fume extractor alert. Now these are not the smallest components I have ever soldered, but they are close. There we go. There we go. One. I have to say to anyone here who does actually want to get into this sort of soldering, just do it. This micro stuff, the little teeny weeny stuff, it's so rewarding to do. It's a lot of fun. You need a microscope. I don't recommend doing it without a microscope, unless you've got like super vision, which I sure don't. I mean, I am 52, by the way. Whoa. It's a good way to lose them. If I do lose any of these, I probably have some spares. Even if they're not the same package size, you can often end up sticking slightly bigger ones onto smaller pads. Done that a few times. You turned 53 today. How about that? Happy birthday, Foxhound. I may be 52, but I am also a child. I am a 52-year-old child. I'm not saying it's a good thing, but... because I don't have any children, I have been afforded the opportunity to remain a child. All of my friends have become adults, and I am still a child. Oh, a visit from a chicken. Hello, chicken. We've got the weirdest dynamic with our chickens. The smallest chicken we have is the boss, is the alpha. And you just sort of think, how did you manage that? There we go. 8 nice, neat little resistors in place there. What do we got now? So the 0402 is the smallest components we have here, I think. Oh, that's where that big fat capacitor came from. C7. That's, you remember I said I found one in the box? That's that one, because it's not taped on here anymore. So where did it end up? Is it still in the box? Nope. I brought it out. I want to put that in place while I... Yeah, here it is. So this one goes on to C7. It's a 1210. So C7, C6, C7. There it is. Nice big fat C7. Eyes aren't what they used to be. Same here, mate. Same here. My eyes started going when I was about 41, something like that. And I have told this story on stream before, so I apologise if you have heard this before. But I was working under the car one day. So I've worn glasses for a while for an astigmatism, but my vision, other than that, the vision has been pretty good. I've had good close-up vision. I've had good distance vision. I used to be able to look at things this far away from my face. One day I was working under the car, under my Dodge, and I couldn't focus on what I was looking at. It was too close. I was having to pull my head away, but I couldn't pull my head away because I was underneath the car, and there was nowhere to pull my head to. I was flat on the ground. I needed to try and move the car further away from me, and I just remember thinking to myself, my eyes used to be better than this. Why has this happened? So I went to an optometrist and said, you know, here's this situation. And she said, yeah, that's normal at your age. I'm like, are there some exercises I can do or something to improve it? And she's like, no, that's it. That's just it. Just be pleased in the knowledge that it's actually, your eyes are actually pretty good for your age. I'm like, it's not helping. Okay, 9, 10, 11, and 12. 9, 10, 11, and 12. But, you know, I mean, look, I do what I can to get by with what I have in terms of, you know, I use a microscope here. Allows me to do this sort of precision work that I wouldn't otherwise be able to do. I have magnifying glasses, you know, glasses that magnify, so I can put them over top of my normal glasses. I got some special glasses made up for my workshop, these ones here. And so these ones, they're made to give me the good vision for the screen, so I can look at the computer screen nice and clearly. But then they've got a little section down the bottom here, which is 3 times magnification. And so they're very handy to have as well. I would just love for my eyes to just work better. I have glasses that I wear for when I'm working at the computer, because I wear multifocals, these ones that I'm wearing now. But the multifocals are a real pain if you're working at a computer with multiple screens. Where'd it go? Did I just like make that disappear? There was a resistor right here, and then it just went missing. Did I breathe on it or something? Oh, is that it there? How'd you get all the way over there? I got a new screen the other day. What do you call that thing? Men never really grow up. I got a Thunderbolt, 27-inch Thunderbolt screen from my friend who gets hold of Apple stuff. And I've now got that as my main screen on my computer. It's a very nice screen. It's 2560 by 1440, or what they often refer to as 1440p. So I now have my computer is set up with three 1440p displays. I have one, the main one in the middle. I have one on the right side and one on the left side. And they are all nice screens now. It's good for working. For when I'm doing my video editing and things. The worst thing with working with these little tiny components is when you, like, you might, you know, you have them in a little container and you'll take them out one at a time and you think, oh, that's so tedious. I want to take them all out at the same time. So you might take them all out and you put them in a little pile and then you accidentally breathe on them or something and they go flying everywhere, or you put your hand on them and not even realise it and lift it up and they're all stuck to the underside of your hand and go missing. Yeah. Right, so that is those resistors. We've now got some capacitors. We have them at, where are we? We've got C1. They're all the same by the looks of things. C1, C2, C3, C4, C5, C6. C2, 3, 4, 5, and then I saw 6 there. Yep, okay. So let's get some solder onto those. If anyone's sort of wanting to do any of this sort of surface mount soldering, I have made a video about it where I sort of describe the processes that are methods that I use. That's not a good one. There you go. And they're not necessarily the methods that everyone uses, but they're the methods I use and they work for me. Like with these little components, the way I put the solder onto the pads and then I heat them into position, I just find that works really well for me. Still rocking 1080p. Yeah, I mean, I really like lots and lots of screen real estate. I'm a huge fan. How thick is your solder? That's a very interesting question. Oh, you mean, excuse me, the diameter. Yes, I know what you mean. I know exactly what you mean. Sorry. Now, I'm going to give it to you in, I can give it to you in inches and in millimetres. It's 0.5 millimetres or 0.020 inches. It's 6337 and it's Kester. Having said that, when I finish that roll, I am going to be trying out solder from Styri, because Styri have actually started selling their own solder. This one's 0.8 millimetres. I have to see how I go with that. Yeah, it is thin. It's not when I used to do the stuff on the newer computers, I used an even thinner roll. I got some stuff here. This is crazy thin. This one is 0.25, so this is half the thickness. Look at this shit. Look at it. Look at it. Yeah, how crazy thin that one is. Yeah, that's real thin. I have some thicker stuff as well, but this is the stuff I like using. It's just the size that I've arrived upon. I used to use some slightly thinner stuff, and then I just decided I want something a little bit thicker, so I got something a bit thicker, and then I like this size. I like it. So this is the thing that I'm making now that will allow me to have my video output from my Apple IIe to plug it into a modern HDMI display. And I go, oh crap, just lost one. I think I really lost that one. I flicked it. So I think I'll have to consider that one gone. And yeah, I have only ever used an Apple. Oh God, get down there, get down. What are you doing? Okay, I've only ever used you know, composite output on an Apple IIe screen, so I'm really looking forward to seeing it in HDMI, you know, output. Can get myself a game of Ghostbusters. I didn't get any spares with this one, you realise that? The one where I lost one, there are no... Oh no, there's one more. Thank goodness for that. C5 and then C6. So I've got this last little one here. Does it help to reduce the glob on the pad using the thin stuff? I don't know. It's yeah, I mean, in his best Schwartz, get down, get down. There we go. So I think that's it. Oh no, we've got a resettable fuse. There we go. Fuse one. Only get one of these. Oh crap! Nearly lost it. I knew we wouldn't get spares of this because I'm missing a diode. I knew we wouldn't get spares of this because fuses are expensive. These resettable fuses, I know because I've bought some in the past. And they're expensive. The diode must be somewhere else. I'm not fussed if the diode is missing because I've got quite a good supply of diodes here. Microdiodular servo systems. So, see, D1. Oh, It's fallen out. It's fallen out. Oh no, chaos, world in crisis. The diode's fallen out. What are we going to do? Could be anywhere. Alright, let's see what it is. Diode 1, SOD123FL. That's only the package. Oh, here we are. MBR120V. Oh, wow. I'm going to put this code in and see what it is. Oh, goodness, we've got 86 people watching. That's a very big number for me. Hello to everyone. Please jump in and say hello in the chat if you haven't already. If you're wondering what I'm doing at the moment, I'm building a little thing for an Apple IIe that allows you to get HDMI video output on an Apple IIe, for anyone who is interested. Do they ever use diode steering in logic circuits? You'll have to ask someone else that, I'm afraid. Right, I've got to put this code in to try and figure out what it is. So this is a MBR 120V LSFT, for anyone playing at home, 1G. Go. Right, what have we got here? Got to get some specs. Data sheet. Here we go. It's a Schottky diode, 20 volt, 1 amp. Schottky. Let me just see if I've got something that will match. Because unfortunately, look, it's taped on here. You sort of can't see it's taped on here. See, and there's a little plastic sleeve with nothing in it. So, rather frustrating. It's fallen out somewhere, but I don't know where. So I'm just going to look through until I find my diodes, a little packet of diodes, and hopefully I'll find that I've got one close. I've certainly got a lot of, what do you call those things? Relays. I keep a good supply of relays, always keep a good supply of relays, because they're often the thing that goes in white goods. So, like things like ovens and dishwashers and stuff like that, they all have relays because everything's controlled by computers, and then when they need to turn power off and on, they trigger a relay. And relays fail. And so I always keep a good supply of different types of relays, so that if that one does fail, I can usually get my computer up and working again. I mean, not computer. That's... Nope. I've got this little packet of diodes. I'm just not sure where it's ended up. Move that across to there. And of course the other thing is the blue SCSIs and SCSI to SD and all those. A few of those use diodes. So they could be there. I could have some for there. See, that's the old blue SCSI thing. I've got this horrible feeling like I've taken all my diodes out of the spot and then not put them back again. And we may end up having to just leave the diode out for the moment. I mean, I can't test this down here anyway, so I just need to build it. So I'll just keep building it, and then I'll come back to the diode. Whoopsie. What have I got? I've got some diodes here. That's a 40 volt 2 amp. That's a bit... What did we want? We wanted 20 volt 1 amp. I don't care about the voltage, but the amperage. Oh, actually, or the voltage maybe does matter for a Schottky. I can't remember. Diode. LED diode. Here we go. Got some diodes here. DSS14. SS14 diodes. Will that do it? Carthor, hello there. 20 volt, 1 amp. SS14. I will give up on this in a second. If I have the diode here, I will use it. SS14 diode. Let's see what this is. Okay, it is also 40 volt 1 amp. That's what were we saying here? It was 20 volt 1 amp. Reverse voltage 20 volt 1 amp. What do you reckon? We can stick a 40 volt 1 amp onto a 20 volt 1 amp? What's everyone thinking? Until I find my other container of diodes. I think I'll leave it. I'll come back to it when I find my diodes. Alright, so we've got some little integrated circuits to do here. U2, U3, U4, U5. These shouldn't take too long. 40, yeah. I mean, I think it would work as well. If I can't find another one, I'll use that one. Because I feel like the 40 volt is just like the rating of its maximum. Who needs diodes anyway, eh? Eh? We know they're overrated. Right. Where's pin 1? There it is. So the way this is labelled here, it's got a little line going across, and the line extends all the way up for where pin 1 is. So there's pin 1's there, 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 and there. And then this has a dot. The wee dot at pin 1. I'd really love to look at it again. There we go. Yep. If it was a Zener diode, yeah. So the Zener diodes are ones that allow power through. They don't allow it through until it gets past a certain voltage, and then they do allow it through. I think that's how my memory is of a Zener diode. I'm pretty sure that's the case, but I know there are smarter people in this chat who will probably correct me if I'm wrong. But yeah, if I remember correctly, you have a Zener diode, will work as a diode, as in it won't allow electricity through, but when it gets past a certain voltage, it will then allow it through. Got way too much solder here. Is it too much? I paid about 5k for a Quadra 950 new, and it came with no RAM or hard drive. Was that? Yeah. Look, it's you know, it's very easy to kind of look at this stuff, and you know, with what we used to pay for things. I mean, think of RAM. Think of what we used to pay for RAM. RAM was just so expensive. If you wanted to upgrade, you know, sort of anything. When I used to do computer repair or computer tech support, I only did it for a little while, maybe a year, maybe a bit longer. I didn't like it very much because it was on location stuff, so I had to keep going out to people's offices. I don't like that. I like having my own office. But I used to have to go out to people's offices, and there was one of the jobs I did was an upgrade, a RAM upgrade for Quadra 950. There was a company that was doing retouching and stuff. They used to charge like wounded bulls, that place. So, and I had to go there to deliver and install, and I think it was 256 megabyte, but it might have only been 128 in a Quadra 950. And I remember holding that RAM and just, it was like the most expensive thing I'd ever had in my hand before for the size. We nearly finished this, by the way. And I think after that I'll have to wrap it up because I do have a few more things I need to do. I need to go shopping. Shops were closed yesterday because it was a public holiday. And we've run out of some really important stuff. Like we're nearly out of toothpaste. Can't be having that. And butter spread. Very important in this household. I've got to go and get these essential things. Can't be not having them. Right, I'm going to stick probably the HDMI on now. Hang on to that Quadra 950. It's a piece of history. Piece of computing history. Right, now, I think what I'll do is I might elevate this slightly so it can fall all the way through. So how about that? That might do. Yep. Dun, 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 dun. Oh, dear, itchy eye. Don't want to rub it, because who knows what I get in my eye if I rub it now. Ugh. Okay. A little bit more solder. This is why I was thinking I should probably stick the HDMI on first, because I'm worried about moving these little resistors underneath. But I didn't knock anything off, so that's good. Now I just got to get some solder on these. It looks like I've mounted it a little crooked, but I think we'll be fine. There we go. We want that to be nice and strong because we're going to have HDMI cables hanging out of it. And now I've got to put the Pico on. Pickly Pico. Now, this is one of the Picos that doesn't have the Wi-Fi on it. Because that is just one of the coolest things about the little Picos. That you can buy ones with a bloody Wi-Fi module. It's only 2 gigahertz, but it's still good. Right, so I'm just going to try and line this up as best as I can. And then I should just solder one. Like that. And then I go to the other end. Hey, what did I say? There we go. Right, so now we can work our way along the side. I really hope I've got this around the right way. I'm assuming it's around the right way because the only way you're going to be able to get that USB-C plugged in is if it sticks out this way. So it's logical, but it's just not labelled. So the thing I think one of the things I love about the Pico the most is upgrading it. Like if you're wanting to upgrade the firmware on it, you just hold down the reset button, plug it in, and it just mounts on your computer as a little drive. And then you just drop the new ROM or firmware or whatever. You drop the new firmware in there, and you're away. Updated. What is a Pico and what are they for? Well, this is a Raspberry Pi Pico. There are actually lots of Picos. There's things like ATX Pico. Pico I just think means small. I'm not sure. But this is a Raspberry Pi Pico. So what it is essentially it's a flavour of Raspberry Pi computer. And this is, it's a development board is what they ultimately call them. And each one of these little pins that I'm soldering is sort of like either an in or an out. Some of them are 5 volt. Some of them are, sort of data in, data out, that sort of stuff. And they're powered by this little guy here, which is called an RP2040. It's an RP2040 CPU. Or is it even no, it's not a system on a chip because it doesn't have storage. So there's actually storage on here somewhere. I don't know, probably that one or something. So there's a little bit of storage, not a whole lot, but there's a little bit. And believe it or not, you can actually program one of these to be a Macintosh. I can't remember who did the video. It might have been Ron from Ron's Computer Videos, or it might have been Sean from Action Retro, but I don't remember. And essentially what they did was they installed an emulator onto one of these to make one of these be a Macintosh, one of the original ones, like the original 128K, but I think they gave it a little bit more RAM than 128K. It's quite amazing. I'm using way too much solder for these. I think I probably should have pushed it down a little bit further. I think there's a little bit of a gap underneath it, so all the solder's just getting sucked in underneath that. Okay, and we are done. So let's have a look and see the finished product, sort of finished product, missing a diode. So let's go to the top view there. I'm going to put this in the ultrasonic cleaner when I'm done, so to get rid of all this excess flux, because you can actually see if I whip out, excuse me while I whip this out, a little UV light, you can see this is flux with UV tracer on it. It glows when you put UV light on it, and as you can see, this is fluxed to the max, because I do like to use a fairly liberal amount of flux. What sort of flux? Stereo-flux, everyone. Links in the description. Excuse me, sorry about that, it's probably very loud. So just a diode for that there. I'm just going to have a quick look here to see if my little packet of diodes is just floating around on the desk somewhere, because I almost definitely will have the genuine article. Nice view of the back of my shirt there. Everyone happy with that? Yeah. Beep, 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 beep. What I suspect has happened is I've got this little packet of diodes and I haven't put it away because it's me and I don't put things away. It's going to be floating around on this desk somewhere. Should have been put away. Okay. Excuse me. I should have a look in here. Oh, a bunch of things in here. These are things that I haven't actually filed away yet. There could well be diodes here. Oh no! These are diodes. Doesn't say they're shorty though. This is 40 volt 1 amp. Yeah. I've just dropped all these things all over my feet. This. Alright, just for the sake of completion, I'm going to stick a 40 volt 1 amp. We can just feel like we've achieved something. Okay. And then when I finish this live stream, I'm going to go hunting for my diodes to see if I can find where they all are. Right. Here we go. Oh, damn, I don't know which way around it's supposed to go. Hang on, I think the line is meant to be for the, what is it, the anode, cathode? I'm pretty sure I'll get it the right way around. Well, I'm pretty sure that the line, which is there, see the line there, goes there like that. Pretty sure. What slicer do I use? I actually use the ones from Creality, which I think the one that they've got at the moment is based on Prusa, I think. They actually brought out an update to it recently where they took some functionality away. It's not functionality I use very much, but I was a little bit dirty about it. I was sort of thinking, updates are meant to get more stuff, not less stuff. But for what I do, it's fine. My 3D printing is very, very sort of utilitarian. I'm mainly making things. Like, for instance, I just made a mount for one of my lights I'm going to be putting in my office to use to illuminate me for when I'm doing meetings, Zoom meetings and stuff like that. So I have a nice soft light shining on my face. It's probably a little bit excessive for meetings, but, you know, I need to have the right image, you know. I'm a YouTuber. Just got a second-hand Creality S1. Yes, it is a free download. And one of the advantages of going with the Creality one is that it comes preloaded with all of the Creality printer slicer settings. So if you just go on to whatever it's called, Creality Slicer or something like that, I'm not sure. But if you just go onto the Creality website, you can download it, and as I say, once you've got it there, you can then add a printer, and it'll typically have all of the Creality printers that are available, and so you can just select the one you want. So it makes life pretty easy. I think the line is the cathode. Yeah, that's the one it's the line matching the line, basically. I'm pretty sure that's how it's meant to work. So that's basically complete. There it is there. I'm pretty happy with that. So the only issue we had was that the diode has fallen out at some stage and could literally be anywhere. I've had all of these things out here on this desk. I've had all of these things out on my kitchen table. I vacuumed the house yesterday. It could have gone and got sucked up in the vacuuming. So yeah, I mean, it might turn up somewhere, but I've just got a sneaking suspicion that diode is history. But this will then theoretically allow me to output my the video from my Apple IIe to HDMI, which I'm really looking forward to trying out. I've got a few things that I need to try out on the Apple IIe, and I'll probably have to set up a camera up in the house because there's no room down here, and you know, test out some of these things. So, for instance, I've got the that other one that Kay Kober sent me. I can't even remember what it's called. But anyhow, he sent me that, and then I've got this, and then I've got this thing called A2 Pico, where you can actually program. It's this little guy here, and you can program this little Raspberry Pi Pico to be a whole bunch of things, whatever you want it to necessarily be. So you can get it to be a disk drive emulator, Z80 CPM, soft smart port, serial interface with Raspberry Pi, a UART terminal. And I don't know what I'll use it for, to be honest. I may... Z80 CPM interests me, but I'm not sure about that. I'm well set up for smart ports, thanks to Kcobra. But yeah, it's a nifty little thing. I've got that, and then he also sent me. This is Mr. Tech Gadget. He sent me a little device. It's actually made by Androida. A lot of you people may know Androida, and he's made a ADB to USB adapter. Now there are already ones available. Big Mess of Wires make one called a Wombat, and Rabbit Hole Computing make one called a Quokka. Was going with the little Australian sort of they're marsupials, aren't they? And then, but there's this one. It's open source, so you can basically just download the stuff from a GitHub, and you can get the PCBs made, and then you can make them up yourself with a little bit of surface mount soldering. Get yourself a USB to ADB, and and I love that. I'm not saying that I don't want people to be able to make money from these products. Some people are making these products and they're selling them. Some people are making these products, they're selling them, and they're making them available. They're selling them assembled, and they're making them available for people to make themselves if they want to. And then some people are just using their stuff and just making things and charging for them. And I don't really mind what people want to do. I love the community spirit. I love it when people do make stuff and share it. But at the same time, I totally accept that if someone invests a huge amount of time or money in making something, that if they want to then get some sort of financial return from it by selling it, then I'm totally fine with that. I've got no issue at all. Just a quick little recap of the live stream today. So I moved all of the PLCC integrated circuits onto the new board. You can see nothing there. You can see them here. All these PLCC chips. I think there was 14 or something in total. So they're all across onto this one now. Still plenty to do. I have stopped doing any more with the passives because I just think it's all a bit wonky with the numbering, and I do need to confirm that with Bolle to see, what the situation is, whether we are working off the same thing, because I've got this horrible feeling like we're not working off the same thing. So once I finished that, I kind of needed a bit of a break, so I then made this, which is the A2 DVI, Apple II Digital Video. And I've put that all together. I have complete confidence in my soldering abilities, so I'm sure this will work first go. And that will be a lot of fun to test out as well. I have to start doing a few Apple IIe videos because I've got all this Apple IIe stuff. Now, as usual, I want to thank everyone for joining the stream. Wow, my microphone's been going for 3.5 hours. I'm glad I put a new battery in it. Let me just double check the chat here, so if there's anything I've missed, if anyone has any questions or needs to ask anything, now's the time to do it because I'm wrapping up. All right, cool. So yeah, anyhow, thank you to everyone for joining. Thank you for keeping the chat lively. Anyone who's watching this on the replay, a big thank you to you as well. Please feel free to say hello in the comments. Always happy with that. Please press the like button if you feel like it. It'd be much appreciated. And of course, if you are new to the channel, please think about subscribing as well. I'll do a lot of vintage computer stuff and soldering techniques. They're the main things that I do on my channel. Oh, and a few product reviews as well. Got to keep out for those. So thanks again. I hope to see you at the next one. I'll almost definitely be streaming next weekend, and we'll probably be continuing with the Quadra if I can. And I think that is pretty much it. So thank you again, and if I can just find, there it is, I found it. And thank you again, and bye-bye.